Good morning to all of you. I'm Silvia Anastasia from Obrim, one of the partners of P2GreeN project. Today, it's the P2GreeN, our international conference, bringing the gap between the thriving bioeconomy and youth engagement. And I'm very happy to host this meeting today. This is a satellite event of the Bioeconomy Changemakers Festival that will be organized in Brussels and online on the 13th and 14th March this week. And I invite all of you to join the event. Our talk today aims to inform and inspire young people, as well as anyone interested in bioeconomy, about the role of projects like P2GreeN in this field. The event will feature an overview by the project coordinator, presentation from young entrepreneurs and researchers, and a roundtable discussion with the project partners. Participants are encouraged to interact with us using Slido. You can follow the instructions that will appear on the screen, and or if you want, just raise your hands, and we are happy to give it to you the word that you can speak. Before starting with our event, with the interesting presentation, I would like to break the ice with a short video clip. You will enjoy it, I'm sure. Thank you for coming.
Better use your compost.
When I look at compost and my future, I see Africa with enough food. I see Africa as the food store. I see Africa as the food basket.
Open legs fast. Better use your compost.
We are using it on green pepper, bananas, some perennial crops like coffee.
And from a renewable raw material, fishes.
We've had some legislation change that allows me to collect it. We've had some legislation change that allows me to treat it. And now I'm still live right now in the battle to get them to accept this is no longer waste.
Es ist schon beachtlich, dass das vor nur wenigen Wochen menschliche Scheiße war und jetzt eigentlich ein bedenkenloser Recyclingdünger ist.
Those who have had these systems installed are fine with it. They like it. They would not want to go back to flush toilet.
Dann wird das eingesaugt, wo das saubere Wasser dann weiterläuft und das Pipi und Kaka wird zu Dünger und zu Strom gemacht.
그리고 한번 이 사용을 하시면 하루에 한 번 10굴이라는 똥분해 화폐를 지급하게 되는데요. 제가 한번
Devenir une vieille dame dans un endroit où on s'occupe de sa merde, moi je trouve ça génial.
This proves it's possible to make shit into soil. There it is.
I hope that you enjoyed the video, and now I give the floor to Anastasia for a few words about yourself and this short video. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Anastasia Bonda, and I'm the founder of the dry toilet startup Holy Shit. I'm based in Cologne, and so is the producer of this amazing movie, Valentin Thurn. And by coincidence, we chose the same name to raise awareness for a topic that people usually don't talk about. Yes, I started as a MA student with the research project Zirkulierbar and developed Cologne's first public dry toilet. And we opened it last year together with the first movie screening of Holy Shit. And if you haven't had a chance to watch it, I'm here to share good news with you. The movie is available in German, English, French, and Spanish. And yeah, you can watch it on Vimeo already on demand. And from April 25th on, it will also be available for streaming. So if you want to check it out, you can search it on or find further information on holyshit.global. And if you want to leave a nutrient donation in Cologne, feel free to stop by and give a nutrient donation in the toilet to keep the poop and hopefully in the future also the pee back in the loop. Yes, I'll share the links in the description and hand over back to Silvia.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anastasia, for your presentation and for letting us learn more about this movie. And now, before giving the floor to Anita Becker, our coordinator, I would like to hear from you. So I have a very fast question for you. So please use either your phone or your using this link, and with the number that you find there, you can go on Slido and you can answer this question. So what are the solutions to food scarcity and climate change, in your opinion? What kind of solution we can find about this? So waiting for answers from the public. Things are coming. Let's see which kind of ideas you have. Vegan diet and recycler, very interesting. Vegan food, dry toilets, recycling, and of course circular system. Nutrient, soil, nature-based solutions. Yeah, recycling is going from the vast majority of you. Circular economy as well. And renewable energy is coming up. Okay, let's say that many of you think that recycling economy are one of the most important topics to drive this new solution to food scarcity and climate change. Here, there is definitely some of the ideas that are also coming up during our discussion in P2GreeN project and during the activities that are done on the field and in the pilots. I thank you, all of you, for this nice participation. And now I will give the floor to Anita Becker from Agratea, and she will tell us more about this project and our participation in this festival. Thank you very much, Anita. The floor is yours.
Good morning to all of you, and happy to see you all. My name is Anita Beblek. I'm the coordinator of the P2GreeN project and also the CEO of Agratea. What am I going to tell you today in a short presentation? I would like to introduce you to our P2GreeN project, the challenges we are facing, our vision, our goals, and later on also our hands-on practical approach. But first, as this is the Bioeconomy Changemaker Festival, I would like to go into why P2GreeN is contributing to the bioeconomy youth vision and what P2GreeN has to do exactly with the bioeconomy youth vision and practice. And I would like to start that P2GreeN and the coordination team is basically bringing already together and bridging the gap between bioeconomy and research, as we are a co-coordination team with IGZ as a research organization, as a co-coordinator with young scientists in the team, and us as Agratea as a bioeconomy and innovation support service SME. Our coordination team is very diverse, and we have 3 female people and 3 male people in the team, and it also represents a good age average, as the 3 of us are above 40 and 3 of us are below 40. And one thing that is very important to how we operate within the P2Green coordination team. That is what we call a WeQ approach, which we think is much better than an IQ approach. So WeQ is about decision-making and embracing all members in the team in the decision-making process. One person, one voice, one vote. And further on, also within the consortium, we have 32 partners, and of these 32 partners, we have 12 SMEs in the consortium and 11 research organizations, which we think is also a good balance for what P2Green wants to tackle within the challenges we have in front of us. And also the number of young professionals within the consortium are quite high. I counted it briefly, and we are around 50% within the P2Green consortium. So that just a brief overview about what P2Green has to do with the bioeconomy youth vision and how we do connect with it. And now let's go into P2Green itself. I first would like to give some quotes on the latest risk assessment of the European Environment Agency. And the risk assessment concludes with, Europe is not prepared for the rapidly growing climate risk it faces. The risks are simply outpacing the development of policies. So that's risk assessment, and I think many of us know about the concept of planetary boundaries. And this is the latest one. And you can see this is from 2023, that within the 9 planetary boundaries we are exceeding 6 of them. And one major contributor is nitrogen and phosphorus pollution. And this is something that we want to tackle within P2Green, and we want to restore water, air, and soil ecosystems by piloting innovative governance solutions. And it is very important that this is done at the interface of rural and coastal and urban industrial environments. And this is where P2Green starts at. Here is a vision of what we try to achieve with our project. As you can see, it is a full circle. We had on the Slido show circular economy as one of the buzzwords that came up during the poll. And I think this fits perfectly well into our approach and our vision. So what is the vision of P2Green? We also had the introduction by the movie Holy Shit. And this is something in the past decades became more prominent, that nutrients from our human waste streams, from pee and poo, are worth collecting and not just flushing away. So we will collect and treat human nutrients from human excreta. We will turn them via innovative technologies, and we will have our technology provider later on during the session transform them into bio-based fertilizers. And then again, this becomes an input for agriculture, and this will then generate new produce, new food, and then the cycle is closed. So some of you know the wording of from farm to fork. And P2Green's approach is the reverse. So from pork, we eat food, we then digest it, and then this becomes human excreta. We will use that, and we will capture nitrogen and phosphorus, and this will then go back into the soil and be applied on agricultural field. This will also close the nutrient flows, and it will also connect the blue urban with the green rural infrastructure. That is the overall vision of P2GreeN. Why is it important, and what do our goals have to do with it? Many of you know, but some of you may not know, that high nitrogen and phosphorus loads are a major threat for the functioning of the terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems. Remember the planetary boundary picture, and our ecosystems, both the terrestrial ones and the aquatic ones, are very much under threat. We have a lot of groundwater pollution, high eutrophication of rivers and oceans, and that goes hand in hand with biodiversity loss. And here the agri-food sector is key. Why is it key? On the one hand side, it is a major contributor to high nitrogen and high P loads, but it also is heavily impacted. Why is it heavily impacted? Because agriculture uses a lot of mineral fertilizers. Mineral fertilizers are a chemical product, and on the one hand side, they are very expensive. On the other hand side, they have negative implications for soil quality, for groundwater quality, and this is why the agri-food sector is key in enabling also bringing N and P pollution back to its limits. So we will use municipal waste streams and utilize them. We will convert them into safe bio-based fertilizers. We will also reduce the dependency on mineral fertilizers of the agri-food sector, and we will obviously close the nutrient cycles. For the bioeconomy, it is very important that we will create new circular value chains, and we will create also governance models for how to implement these circular value chains across Europe. We do this in 3 pilot regions and 4 follower regions. They are located in Sweden, Germany, and Spain, and the follower regions are located in Greece, Italy, France, and Hungary. And I will give you a short overview on the core of the pilot regions to give you a better insight in what actually is happening on the ground level in P2GreeN. Let's start with our Swedish pilot region that is located on Gotland, and the main focus here is urine drying. SLU has developed the technology, and we have a startup that is called Sanitation 360, and Nicola will present later on. Sanitation 360 is a spin-off, and it converts the collected urine into pellets that is used as a fertilizer. Touchdown is collecting the pee from festivals that are happening on Gotland and other public spaces, and then this goes into fertilizing the crop cultivation of barley, and the barley then is used in Gotland's brewery, and this is a beer producer in Gotland, and this is our first example of the Swedish pilot region where we have a full nutrient recycle and where we then can drink the beer once it has been produced. Our second pilot region is the German pilot region. It has 2 technologies, and one is urine separation and one is feces treatment. It is located in the so-called North German Plain, which spans from the federal state of Brandenburg to Lower Saxony and the Hamburg metropolitan region. We have the Kreiswerke Barnim that is a yellow water treatment location where the urine is treated. Then we have Vuna Nexus, which is also a startup, and we will hear David from Vuna Nexus later on during this session, who basically is the technology provider for the urine treatment. And then we have Goldeimer. They convert our feces into humus as also a fertilizer. And then we have Fagzow. Fagzow is an agricultural farm in Lower Saxony, and urine and the feces, the compost, will be then applied on the fields of Fagzow to grow produce. And then we have the Spanish pilot region, and Gerardo and his colleagues are also here. And he will present later on in more detail about his approach and the Spanish pilot region to nutrient-optimized fertigation. And here it is with reclaimed water. So we have Axel Ruhr, who is the public operator of the municipal wastewater treatment. The wastewater gets collected, and then via technology from BioAzul, it is treated and can be reused as a wastewater reclamation. And then we have Trops, who is a cooperative of farmers, and they especially grow mangoes and avocados. And the reclaimed water then is brought back on the fields to grow mango and avocados on the Trops farms. So that is an overview about the P2GreeN project and the pilot regions and what specifically we mean when we say closing the nutrient gap. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Anita, for this inspiring presentation. It was very, very interesting to hear from you. Now I would like to give it to you the floor again. You know that during this festival, the European festival, there is a lot of talk about the bioeconomy youth vision. And therefore, we are going to hear your voice, and after we are hearing also the voice of our expert about this aspect. So please tell us facing the current environmental challenges, which are the best priority approaches to the bioeconomy? Do you believe it's the most effective to ensure sustainable future? What do you think is going to be the best? Strengthening youth engagement and representation in bioeconomy policy, investing in bioeconomy education to promote widespread understanding of potential and challenges, focusing economic models towards sustainable growth that assessments environment and social impact, or promoting responsible use of bio-based resources to valorize organic waste. Just let us know what you think about, and after we are going to hear a lot about from our researchers and young entrepreneurs. Let's see. I see that investing in bioeconomy education looks one of the most promising activities to do. That's great. And one of these aspects is definitely tackled in the youth vision, in the bioeconomy youth vision. Also, strengthening the youth engagement and representation in bioeconomy policy decision, it's pretty important. And you will hear a lot about this also during the festival. But yeah, investing in bioeconomy education looks like one of the best solutions. Together with focusing on bioeconomy models, economic models. This is also very important towards sustainable growth. Okay. Thank you very much for your participation also in this. Was very exciting to hear from you. And now I want to give the floor to our young dynamic entrepreneurs and researchers. So the first to tell about your story. It's Nicola Parfit from Sanitation 360. I give the floor to you. Please tell about your story and your activities. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to share my screen. It doesn't seem to be working that I can share. Sorry, 1 minute.
If you want, we can share the slides for you, no problem.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what my Zoom is doing. That would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Nicola Parfit and I am Sanitation 360's project manager and generalist. And Sanitation 360, like Anita was saying, is a small Swedish spin-off company. And we recycle human urine into a solid fertilizer for agriculture. And I know this illustration here should have had beer on it, like Anita was talking about, that we make beer. But it's just to show that every day we pee out enough nutrients to fertilize the production of one whole loaf of bread. So we're essentially flushing down a whole loaf of bread down the toilet every day, which is quite crazy when you think about it. And yeah, you can change slide, please. And I haven't been working for Sanitation 360 for that long. It's only been about half a year now. And it was a bit of a coincidence that I ended up here, but I started out studying biology. I didn't know at all what I wanted to do. I just knew that I loved nature and the outdoors, and biology felt like a great fit because there was a lot of like outdoor field work and lab work, which I really enjoyed. But there was also very, very little social science and a very little, or we didn't have any classes at all about the interaction between nature and society. So I really missed the social side of things. And that's why I chose to study environmental studies and sustainability as a master's. And that was kind of just social science. So there I got a lot of the social aspects and how we're impacting the environment around us. And even though I'm super, super grateful for studying, and it teaches you a lot of discipline and how to work with others. Oh, is there no presentation?
I see it.
You see it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I also really would encourage people to try to do things outside of studying, because I think that's where you learn a lot more and grow a lot and find what you're passionate about. So if you have the opportunity to, I would really, really recommend that. So I did some volunteering in Mauritius. I saved up my money from working part-time and did coral reef bleaching surveys and sea turtle monitoring and beach cleanups. So it was a bit of a scientific camp for coral reef restoration, which was amazing. And then I also joined Amnesty as more of the social side of things, always to try to combine it. And then I think one of the best experiences, which kind of led me to Sanitation 360, was that I worked on a farm in Iceland during the first summer of my master's studies. So I spent 2.5 months in Iceland, and it was one of the toughest jobs I've ever done. It was really physically demanding, a lot of heavy lifting, but I learned so much. And that's also where I became really passionate about farming and how it's going to sustain this growing population and produce enough food. And that's also what then, during my third semester of my studies, Jenna Senecal, the CEO of Sanitation 360, she had a lecture for us about urine recycling. And I'd never heard of it before. And I thought it was such a cool topic. And I was like, why aren't we doing this already? So I just, spammed her with emails. I think like one email a week until I got a reply. asking if I could write my master thesis with her about farmers' perspectives on urine, because that's what I wanted to focus on and engage farmers in discussions that they're often left out of. And you can change slide. Thank you. And in regards to some challenges, I mean, I've only been in the bioeconomy sector for like half a year now, so I don't know how qualified I feel to give this kind of advice, but I see some challenges, which one of them, a bit like we were seeing in the poll, that there's very little education from an early age around circular systems, which creates a lot of taboo, which I think will be a big challenge to overcome. For example, when we say that we grow barley with pea and make beer, everyone's really disgusted. But then as soon as we say that today we grow barley and other grain with animal poo, and that's fine, everyone thinks everyone thinks urine feels quite a good fertilizer. So you can change slide, thank you. So this was kind of my point, that we need to make the bioeconomy sector more accessible and make sure we don't gatekeep the information and translate scientific findings into more accessible knowledge. And then just a few takeaways would be to, even though studying is great and you learn a lot and it's something to be super grateful for, it's also important to do other things if you have the opportunity. Find your people, find what you find interesting. And I think you also grow a lot as a person from doing those things outside of studying. Like, studying is great, but it's not the whole world. And also don't be afraid to reach out to people, even though people are probably very busy. You won't know what could happen if you don't try. And also people within the bioeconomy sector, I feel like, are some of the kindest people, because it's never about money, really. It's only about your passion, and you care about creating a more circular world. So people, I feel like, are just super lovely. And to just make it fun, because you're going to be working every day. So don't try to wait for the next opportunity or the next project, but enjoy the everyday little things in work. So yeah, thank you so much. That's kind of it.
Thank you very much, Nicola, for your presentation and for inspiring us with these words. And now I will give the floor to Jennifer McConville from the Swedish University of Agricultural Science. Thank you very much for joining us. It's one of our partners, of course. Please tell us about your story.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all. Thanks for joining us. I'll just do a little sharing of my journey, how I went through here. Listening to Nicola, we have some similar backgrounds, I think, but how I ended up in the bioeconomy is I started with a bachelor's in environmental engineering from Michigan Technological University in the United States. I loved math and science as well as being outdoors, so it seemed like a perfect fit. But after I finished my degree, I started a master's program in conjunction with the Peace Corps, which is a volunteer organization where they send you out to live in a lower middle income country. I spent 2 years working with water and sanitation services in rural Mali in West Africa. And there I learned that the success of a sanitation system depends on more than just my skills in technical design. A lot of what I learned at the university was not completely useful, to say it shortly. I needed to understand the people too, their needs, their culture, their economic possibilities, and their drivers for change. For example, if I wanted to build a soak pit like you see in this picture, but I built it next to the wrong well, it wouldn't be used because the women preferred to use water from a different well for washing. You need to understand these intricacies of how people work. So I took these lessons with me when I continued my studies. I started on a PhD, and as a PhD student, I started working with ecological sanitation and the possibilities to recover resources from toilet systems. I fell in love with the idea of recycling nutrients from our pee and our poop. Moving towards more circular systems just made so much sense. So that you can store urine and hydrolyze it, and then you could be free fertilizers, would just mean so much to farmers in my rural village in Mali. It's such a simple idea. Changing infrastructure systems like the ones that we have here in Europe is not easily done. Many people and organizations are stuck in mindsets of just doing what they used to do. Planning processes do not take new technologies into account. Planners and decision makers do not understand what the users want, et cetera, et cetera. So in my PhD, I wanted to know how I could learn these lessons from Mali, that you need to understand people as well as the technology, and how could you use that combined knowledge to make more sustainable use of resources. So it's this line of questioning, how can you combine the social knowledge, the technical knowledge, how do we plan, design, and implement more sustainable systems? So that's a line of questioning that I continue to work with. How do we achieve more sustainable systems? This idea that we have today, what we're trying to move towards is a system for managing resources in food and sanitation, moving away from this very linear system that we have today, which has led to a lot of health and environmental problems, moving to something that's more circular. And I would argue that there's a growing awareness of the need to transition to more circular systems. This system, as a circular system, would lower environmental impacts on our waterways, allow for resource recovery of fertilizer and water, generally improving our health and environment. There are a number of barriers to getting there. As I was saying, many people want to know why we should do things differently. They lack the knowledge about alternative systems, or they think they're too expensive. Innovative systems are still maturing. They're not optimized. We need to still keep trying things. But there's also an unclarity regarding organizational and legislative structures. So I feel like my work today is trying to overcome these barriers and highlight drivers for these systems in both my research and teaching. So for example, I work with systems thinking to build a better understanding of trade-offs and interactions in this rather complex system. We can do life cycle assessments of impacts or social technical system studies to highlight bottlenecks to implementation. Using systems thinking and analysis, we can quantify the benefits in terms of impacts, but we can also better understand the barriers. So I've found in general that it's often not enough for people to know just about technologies, but they also have to have the motivation to take action to implement these technologies. And for that, they need knowledge. So I work a lot with knowledge sharing about drivers and barriers and technologies in ways that can open people's minds. For example, I have used the idea of serious gaming in planning processes as a creative way to inspire new thinking, to increase positive attitudes towards circular systems. And as an ongoing lesson from my time in the Peace Corps, any transition to something new, especially to more circular systems, requires collaboration with many different stakeholders. So thus, we need participatory processes. We need to engage directly with other stakeholders. We need to increase their knowledge and create networks. And it's through this process of creation and co-creation that we allow innovations to occur and happen. I just wanted to round off a bit with my advice for the next generation is make these connections with others, especially those currently outside your social bubble. Dare to step outside and meet new people. Be creative, try new ways of playing with ideas and doing things differently, but also be aware that changing things takes time. And you have to be persistent and keep on going even when the path seems very slow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, for your words and your presentation. It was very nice to hear about making connection and, of course, be patient, one of our big aim in this game. Now, I'm happy to give the floor to David de Chambrier from Buranux, and he will explain something about this story too. Thank you.
So hello everyone. My profile is slightly different. I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself without showing you much content. So I don't have an environmental engineering background like a lot of people. I come more from a tech background. I studied business in a business school, so I always worked in kind of like business development and operations roles, and always worked in early stage small startups in Switzerland, and then also in London, and the last role I had was at Google in Zurich, and during COVID, I spent a lot of time with my sister and now co-founder Nadège de Chambrier. We were in a house together during the lockdown periods, and she was talking to me about all of these urine technology she was working on, and that there had been researching at ERWAG, which is the Water Institute of the ETH in Switzerland. And yeah, we just spent a lot of time discussing about it. And I guess, like Jennifer, I kind of like got the virus, if I could say. I found it super interesting, and I came up with my business background and say, hey, that's really cool, but let's try to generate some revenue with this, because if we want the technology to scale, and if we want the technology to really spread, it needs to make financial sense. Otherwise, it's just going to stay a niche product, and we should get going. And also, I think I brought to the table the fact that often engineers, and there's a lot of engineers here around the table, so no offense, but often engineers, they don't want to release a product unless it's absolutely perfect. And sometimes in these research institutes, they tend to keep researching and improving things, and sometimes it's good when someone comes and say, hey, even if that only works at 30%, it's already better, like it's already 30% than nothing. And so we kind of like got together and created a company and took this technology, and now for the last almost 3 years now, we are really trying to sell this technology. And so what we have now is so we treat the urine in a bioreactor. It's the process is mostly automated, and so in this process we remove the micropollutant and we produce a fertilizer similar to Sanitation 360. It's a different product, and then this fertilizer is sold locally in Switzerland and Austria, and soon in France. And so we install these treatment plants in large buildings. So that's about me, about us. I guess to conclude, I would say that I would like anyone can get into this world. I think we need people with other backgrounds than environmental backgrounds. I think if we want things to change, we will need people to come from IT, from data science, from all over, because that's the only way that we can make this technology work. And we also need, and I think it's very important, sometimes I'm trying to say that this subject of pee and poo is sometimes a little bit childish, and actually we need to make it, find a way to make people realize that it's actually a real, like it's a real subject that can really make sense, and that really makes sense if we tackle it the right way. And that, yeah, it's not only about the hippy dry toilets that we see on a festival. It can be on a large scale. It can work on a large scale. Some countries have been doing it forever. France had been recycling human waste until the late 70s. So it's not something that is new, actually. We're just going back to something that was done before. So yeah.
Thank you very much, David, for your presentation and your words. Let's try to make it on large scale. That's definitely a key word to go on with us. But before going for the second round of presentation, I just want to hear something from you. If you have any question, please, you can use Slido or you can just raise your hand and we can, we have already some questions there. So what strategies can make the dialogue between young people and institutions more effective and inclusive, in your opinion? I don't know if some of you wants to answer. Just otherwise, I don't know. Jennifer, do you have any ideas about this?
I think it's part of maybe creating spaces where new ways of dialogue can happen. That I think currently it's difficult in the way planning structures are currently set up to make that more inclusive and effective. But I think we can try and demand, there is an openness that people are looking for new ideas, even within institutions. So that I would guess I would build a bit on Nicola's idea that reach out and ask. And just I think there has to be a bit of persistence both from the top and then people that do have a foot in to try and demand more open workshops. We're working on that as well, more participatory ways of listening and creating those interactions. But I think it has to change both from the young people demanding it and people inside actually opening up for it.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, for your words. Okay, something maybe that I can ask to Nicola. Did you hear about the subject of bioeconomy or education? Tell us about this.
I did, but I feel like it wasn't until quite late. So I think it wasn't until I actually studied my master's in environmental studies. I don't think we even discussed it in biology, which I'm kind of surprised about now, thinking back. And I know that's also something we work a lot with in P2GreeN to try to develop tools for schools and young people to learn about the bioeconomy. And I think that's a really big step, because if we already, like we saw in the holy shit video, like the beginning there, the little clip, that if we already know about these things from when we're kids, it's so much easier to grasp it as adults and not be afraid of it or see it as a big change. So yeah, it's definitely something I think should be integrated more into education.
Thank you very much, Nicola, for your words. And final, I don't see any others. What advice would you give to other young entrepreneurs, David? What's interesting in bioeconomy sector?
Well, I would say it's hard to answer this question. I would say like there's like Nicola said, like get in touch with people. I think everybody's very open to discuss this. Most companies try to work together and share knowledge, especially spin-offs coming from universities. They're trying to share as much as they can. It's important to reach out and kind of study what's happening and come up with ideas, think outside of the box. And if you're coming from the environmental engineering branch, I would say try to think outside of the box, try to break the rules. And I can see, especially in Switzerland, sometimes some people will say, oh, data science is not going to work for wastewater treatment plants because we've tried many times and it just doesn't work. And I think actually it could work. And if you think outside the box and if you think outside of what you've been studying, then potentially you can make it work. And I think that's the most important thing. Sometimes in this industry, like in any other industry, things can be a bit based on what has been done for the last 40 years, let's say.
Thank you very much, David. Again, making links, creating connection is going to be our leitmotif for this meeting and hopefully for all the festival. So now I want to go on with the stories and tell and give the word to Karsten Bennecker from Agrater if you want to tell us about your story, please.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. I will share my screen because I brought some photos and impressions from my journey into economy. I hope you can see my screen now. Does this work?
Yes, it's
Okay.
working.
Yeah, my name is Carsten. I'm an environmental. It's on? Yeah. Okay. Great. My name is Carsten. I'm an environmental engineer and in charge of coordinating the pilot region of P2GreeN. And my journey here has been not very linear and focused, but it feels like it's kind of ironed out a bit towards, somehow pushing the transformation of the sanitation sector. And I just want to give you a few images of my journey, maybe, starting with the bachelor's in environmental science and technology in Berlin. I was very lucky, I think, to have a first contact in my first semester with eco-sanitation already in 2007. And it really fascinated me, like how out of the box this approach is, and how much I was never really thinking about what is happening behind the flush button. I proceeded studying, I did the master's in it, and I'm so grateful to have seen a lot of different stuff from the micro scale, like looking through the microscope to watch microbes, up to the large scale, studying climate impacts on glaciers. And in particular, I was fascinated in soil sciences. It's so amazing what's going on in a soil. So this is one of my quotes that I really carry with me, is to look deep into nature and you will understand things better. And I can totally confirm on this one. It really broadened my understanding of these excursions that we did during the studies. During the studies, I also went to Kenya for tree planting. And I found also peacemakers, and I don't mean this fossil fuel engine in the upper part, but the urine dry diverting toilets in the lower part that I had the chance to build over there, and I understood really how it interconnected with the tree planting approach, since in that area the soils really haven't been very much fertile. And two of the main resources that people were lacking were fertilizers on the one hand side, and then a safe sanitation on the other hand side. And this can be totally perfectly connected. For my master's thesis, I was working in blackwater treatment with a membrane bioreactor, with the goal to treat wastewater and extract the nutrients to fertilize salads on the very same roof. So I really loved the approach of enabling a closed urban nutrient loop by the connection of green and blue infrastructures. But I had the feeling, I got really interested in process engineering also, and I had the feeling I want to learn more about it. So my first full-time job I took in the industry. I learned a lot about filter systems, also about business, I would say. And after reaching my goal, kind of to understand industry standards, I thought I got a bit off track with my seek for purpose, and I decided to become self-employed and try to get to somehow make a living out of ecological and resource-orientated sanitation approaches, and enter the bioeconomy. And since ever then, it's really super exciting. I'm part of a great network. This is a picture from a meeting of the Swiss and the French and the German network for resource-oriented sanitation. and it was really fun event and showed me again that it's important to collaborate with engaged and progressive people who push you, who push ideas, and yeah, not to focus too much on people who try to get you down or keep you small. On the other hand, like Jennifer said already, it's not only tech, and it's a very complex topic, and we have to communicate also with people outside of our bubble, with organizations and legislations that are organized in silos. So by function, they have to think more inside of the box than we like to do. So this is a barrier of the bioeconomy still, and something where we have to be persistent, as Jennifer said. Also, I think one major barrier is also that environmental costs are still externalized and not part of the price, making linear systems more cost effective, more cheap than circular systems. Yeah, you heard that a couple of times now. Bioeconomy is highly complex, it's innovative, it's interdisciplinary. So what I learned is that it's not really a comfort zone, but it's a constant learning zone where you have to deal with challenges and problems and ambiguities and acquire new skills constantly, kind of. And the chance is really to find your purpose and achieve great goals and grow personally, and also with your community. Yeah, it's also fascinating. I took a picture of these carrots. I really love it. I harvested them myself, actually. They have been some of the most yummy carrots I ever ate. And I love that it's like 7 carrots engaging with each other while seeking for nutrients, nurturing themselves and each other. A very collaborative approach, showing that this also works out, and it doesn't have to be the straight carrot always. Yeah, this is maybe one of my messages also. Thank you for the opportunity, and just let's chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carsten, for your words. It was nice to hear some of the difficulties, especially related to the legislative context that it's tackling very much our research. So now I'm happy to give the floor to Gerardo Gonzalez from BioAzul. Please tell us about your story.
Thank you, Sylvia. I hope you can hear me well. I will also try to share my screen. Just a second, please. All right. Okay, can you see it full screen now?
Yes.
Great. So, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to present. My name is Gerardo Gonzalez, and I work for the last 7 years. I have been working as a research and innovation project manager at the Spanish SME called BioAzul. It is a water engineering and technology consultancy specialized in the development of sustainable and innovative solutions for the treatment and reuse of water resources. So I would like to briefly explain how did I get here. So, well, I did my bachelor's degree in environmental sciences in Spain a few years ago, and then I did my master's degree in urban environmental management at the University of Wageningen in the Netherlands. And I remember it was around that time when I first got to know about circular economy and why society should rethink their progress. So to me, I don't know, learning how waste could be transformed into valuable resource was fascinating. and imitating what nature does for me was perfectly right at that time. So I decided I wanted to support it, and I wanted to be part of that rethinking process. So later on, I did my master's thesis on industrial wastewater treatment and reuse in agriculture. For me, that was amazing because it was perfect, and it made perfect sense in water-scarce countries like mine in Spain. So I learned a lot during that time. And I also took the opportunity to do a traineeship at a large consultancy, so I could research on sludge treatment from several wastewater treatment plants for energy recovery, and again, turning waste into a valuable resource. And after that, I worked in a research center for a short period, and I participated for the first time in a European project funded by European Commission. And this is how I started learning about collaborative research projects like P2GreeN. So I guess in a nutshell, this has been my journey until now. But I would like to highlight that during that journey, I always try to combine work with other fun activities and hobbies that can recharge my batteries and are also related to bioeconomy in a way. So in my case, this is about recycling and composting at home because I love it, and also organizing volunteering activities like waste sorting analysis, or even doing cleanups in the nature, for instance. And in case you cannot find one, I think you can start it yourself. So I also encourage everybody to do it. So based on my experience, and to wrap up, my main advice to young students and researchers is to be curious since the beginning, try different working environments. I think bioeconomy is a very broad topic, so try to find opportunities from academia to the private sector, from internships to part-time jobs, and if possible, in the meantime, do some volunteering with local NGOs. I think this will help you to have a broad perspective and then narrow down options during your career, and eventually be able to choose the path that makes you feel happy, no? And also along this way, I think learning interdisciplinary skills is really beneficial. Here I'm talking about, for instance, project management, but also data analysis, geographical information systems, business development. And I also think communication and dissemination skills are even more important, also storytelling, because I think, for instance, if you want to create an attractive narrative around what we are doing, and if you want to build trust, you need to be able to pass the right message to the different actors involved. And related to this last point, finally, my advice is also to keep calm and carry on, because working in this field is sometimes misunderstood or controversial for some people. But I would ask young students to be patient, to be confident, because they are doing the right thing. They are not alone out there. So my advice is also to keep up the spirit. Yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Back to you, Silvia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your words and for keeping us the spirit high. Let's hope that it's going to be the all for all the people here. And now I want to give the floor to our last presentation, Jose Manuel Nieto from Zetaqua. Would you like to introduce your story, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Nice to meet you all. I'm going to share my screen, see if it works correctly. See. Can you see it full screen?
Yes, now it's full screen.
Okay, thank you so much. So, as most of my colleagues, I'm part of the environmental topic careers. So I studied in the University of Malaga. I started studying bachelor's degree in environmental sciences. which is the stage of my career where I understood the basics of nature, and has this career. It is a very wide career, so you learn about a lot of disciplines, which is very nice because you learn about physics, about biology, about economy, about laws. So you start learning how to integrate all of this. So after that, I really started to get very interested in water resources and its management. So I did a master degree about this. And there I started looking at water as a resource in all its stages in the water cycle. So from the mountains where we take the water to drink, to the sea, and to wastewater, for example. And after that, I really get very curious and very interested in that. So I did a PhD in water resources, more focused on groundwater, but also at the same time in the use of reclaimed water. So it's where I start diving into this world, which is just literally diving, like like in the river, or like looking for groundwater. So in this point, what I say to young people is that you have to travel, you have to know different people, you have to learn about different skills, about different techniques and different words. So that's, for example, can help you so much to speak different languages. And that, for example, I was in the US for a time where I really learned so much about different approaches to the use of water. And during my PhD, I really dove into the water. So I started monitoring wetlands as a treatment system to reuse wastewater from the city of Malaga in the south of Spain, to turn it to a resource for making manage aquifer recharge by the same time creating wetlands. So we were using our water, our wastewater, with two main final uses, which is obtaining a new resource for us in groundwater, but also we were creating habitats and improving biodiversity, which is a point we can also take in account when thinking about this. Nowadays, since I finished my PhD, I'm working at CETACUA, which is a water technology center site in Spain, which has a great like expertise in what we say the zero waste and decarbonizing area, and more like especially in the turning waste to product. So in this sense, we work, I especially work in different projects, like in some European projects like the Life Matrix project, in where we use reclaimed water to recharge aquifers, so we can give more groundwater to downstream populations to be used again for another kind of uses. But of course, it's a reclaimed water, which is even more treated in the aquifer. Also, we work in a project called Mark to Protect, in where we are developing a tool for making a safe managed aquifer recharge to prevent pollution in several sites in Europe. And we also work lately in remote sensing to assess nature-based solutions as a natural treatment to reuse wastewater, because we think that with the past thinking about gray infrastructures, we are limiting our potential to use to turn the waste into products, which is our main goal. And well, I would like to keep in touch with people, with young people. So here you have my contact. And well, I said it in my presentation, but as all my colleagues, I will say that for you as a young person getting into the bioeconomy world, one of the best things is to learn about the other different areas, technical areas, economical areas, because if we had a broad thinking, we will be able to, let's say, to keep going all together and to improve our world. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much for your words, Jose Manuel. Let's try to broaden our areas, to broaden our borders, and to think out of the box. And now, as you know, there are some, we shared the link for some questions. If you want to ask something to our speakers, okay, there is something going on. Let me see. Okay, first question. In which way will you like to be informed about innovative developments in the bioeconomy sector? Videos or other stuff? I don't know. Carsten, do you want to answer about this?
Well, I think, yeah, I can answer. I think we have been talking about how to design this in an inclusive manner and reach out to a broader public. So I guess we need several channels. And I personally think that to create living labs like we do in P2GreeN is one of the most sustainable way to reach out to people, as you can really invite people to have a look and feel of the approach, of the entire approach, and understand it in a more holistic way, embedded in a real environment and community. So yeah, I think this is something we have to focus on, and we focus on, but then of course to reach out to people who can't travel to come and see it, we use different channels, such as this format as we use it today, and social media, and a good website where stuff is going on. That's it from my side. Thanks.
There is another question related to what is the proposed to improve bioeconomy education and engage citizens? I don't know if, I don't know, Gerardo, do you want to say something about this?
Thank you, Sylvia. Well, this is maybe not the best question for me, because for me, working at the BioSur is not a startup, and I don't know if someone else would like to.
Please, just if you want to if someone wants to talk about the improved bioeconomy education, who wants to answer?
I can say something, as I work with education, that I think as many of us have pointed out, that we didn't necessarily come in contact with these concepts until often in our master's degrees or later. So I think part of it is the bioeconomy needs to come earlier in education, and even earlier than the university level. So I mean, I've reached out to elementary schools, ask them to come visit our facilities, look at things, because I think it's also, as Carsten was saying a bit, you need to see it and engaging it in demonstrations. We work with a lot of public toilets in this project as well. So can you get things out on the streets and have people see it, but also into the classrooms earlier, would be one of my focuses, to try and improve the education and educate our citizens.
Thank you, Jennifer, for your words. And I don't know, Anita, if you want to add something related with this, please.
I would like to comment something on the what policy and incentives could support bioeconomy startups question.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I think David and Nicola have told us a lot about how they came up working either as a startup founder or as a team member within a startup. But I think the most urgent need, especially in Europe, is to get sufficient funding. And that is something I think each of the startups that are presented in the bioeconomy sector are facing. It's easy to start a startup, but then it's really difficult to upscale. And upscaling is only possible with sufficient funding and money. And as David has said, you need a business model, but to come to a business model, you have a phase where it is virtually impossible to generate revenues. And here, the funding side becomes very important. And unfortunately, within the EU, we do not have a lot of venture capital and other funding sources that are accessible for these startups. And here, when we also conducted our, let's say, financial screening for our startups within P2GreeN, it became very apparent that, like with the valley of death of innovation, there's a valley of death of lack of finance, similar to it. And that is something we as European citizens and as also the European Union needs to think about. How could we make finance accessible to these startups? And how could we also provide funds also from citizens that want to engage in the bioeconomy sector? And I think there we can learn a lot from other parts of the world.
Thank you, Anita. Well, yes, definitely very important, these aspects of startups in bioeconomy and how they can find some support. Okay, I think that we had a lot of interaction in these two Q&A sessions, and now we can go in a very short version of our roundtable, because obviously we cannot do all what we planned, but it will be very important to have a couple of questions that we had in mind for our speakers. So I will go for the first question. Is there a certain profession that you recommend to become a change maker in bioeconomy? I don't know if, Jose, do you want to tell us something about this?
Sure. Well, I will say that there is no recommended profession to be part of the change in bioeconomy. Of course, if you work in some science-related career, it is more likely to already be in this topic. But some other careers, as lawyers, economists, or even journalists, can be part of this change. So that's my thinking about this.
Okay, thank you very much, Jose. Do you want Jennifer to add something related to this?
I would just agree that, and I think our presentations have shown that we need everyone, so that you can approach and contribute from any profession to the bioeconomy. We need communication, we need social scientists, we need the natural scientists, we need people who all understand politics and financing and everything. So join us.
Okay, so I also would like to ask you, which kind of skills is needed to become a change maker in bioeconomy? What do you think that it's really needed from young people to get it? I don't know, David, do you have any suggestion for this?
I mean, like I said earlier, I think there's no limitation in terms of skills. We need everything. For me, this what we call bioeconomy. I mean, trying to segment bioeconomy is actually probably even not wrong, but it is actually just a new way of, not even new, but it's a way of approaching things. It's just an economy, and in an economy you need to have everybody. So we will need some technique, like some bricklayers, as well as some engineers, and as well as some IT people. Like we need everything. Like it really depends on the project, and it really depends on the application, I would say.
Thank you very much, David. Jennifer, do you want to add something related with these skills that you have more experience with university as well?
I think maybe just maybe if we think beyond the need to understand, we need people with skills who can act interdisciplinary. As we said, we need all these different people to work as well. So we need people who can communicate and work with other types of people. So I think that would be one skill that we need, is this ability to listen and collaborate and work in participatory methods. Opening the box, think outside of the box. We need creative people. We need and people that can work with others.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeff. And in order to open up the box more and try to think outside the schemes, can you please tell us about a potential strategy or compass for getting a professional way? Which kind of strategy can we have? I don't know, Carsten, can you suggest something related to this?
Yeah, thank you, Sylvia. Maybe if you, I might remind you of two slides. One of my first slides of like this roundup line, and somewhere there's a compass. I think you can name it sustainability or so. So whenever I look at solutions, I really scan it if it is economically, if it makes sense, if it's economically feasible, it's environmentally sound, and if it can be socially accepted and actually helps people. And I think that can give you a compass if you really take everything as a holistic approach. And then what really, the second slide that I always have in mind is the one that Anita showed us about the 9 planetary boundaries. And I think 6 of them are out of the good scope, the healthy scope. If you take one of them, that's already, you know, a large task to somehow make a change in that sector. But if you take one of these, you can be sure it makes sense. So this could be taken as a compass, for example.
Okay. Thank you very much, Carsten, for your overview. I also want to go back also on the main vision of the general picture. So why do you think the bioeconomy is so important? Maybe there is something already said in the slides, but just to wrap up, and why would you recommend young people to develop this career? I don't know, Nicola, do you want to ask something about this?
Thank you, Sylvia. Yeah, I think a bit like Carsten was just saying about the different planetary boundaries, that we kind of, I mean, of course it helps to be passionate about the topic, but also we don't really have another option than to make the current linear systems more circular. Like now, for example, with phosphorus for fertilizers, when the reserves are fully depleted, we won't be able to fertilize like fields the same, which means it'll probably cause food scarcity. So we have to really figure out a way to close these loops and recycle the nutrients we already have in society. So for me, I just kind of see it as like a must. Like the bioeconomy will just keep growing, and we need more and more people to help that happen. And of course, there are then also a lot of other important sectors that need to cooperate. And like Jennifer was saying, with these interdisciplinary collaborations. I think that's a really important thing, that we don't keep the bioeconomy exclusive or separate from the rest of society and legislation, but that we try to incorporate it into every sector of society. So yeah, that's kind of my take.
Thank you very much, Nicola, for these words about incorporating and enlarging our views. And do you want, Jose, to add something related to this?
Well, to add to what Nicolas said, I would say that I think it's crucial to continue valorizing what we do think is waste to new resources in a circular way, because all we know is that our current development as a society is unsustainable. So we need young people to be focused in the bioeconomy sector to normalize these circular economy solutions, so we can all together make this stronger and make this just the normal thing.
Thank you very much, Jose. I think that, changing the mindset, making things more evident for everyday life, it's really a key important point also for P2GreeN project. And let's go for final words. So just an advice to young students, young researchers, young entrepreneurs, what the purpose can be the purpose a career in the bioeconomy sector. Gerardo, do you want to tell us something about this?
Yeah, thank you, Silvia. Well, I think we have covered already a lot of tips and good pieces of advice for researchers. So I think my main advice would be to work on something that motivates them, that they feel passionate about. I think money will come later at some point, hopefully. So I would ask them as well to be open-minded, to be explorative, to try different environments. I think you can learn a lot from different perspectives, from the private sector, public sector. So I think they shouldn't consider this explorative process as a waste of time, but just they will gain insights during the journey. So that would be my advice, to be broad in the beginning, generalist, and later on they will find out what they feel the happiest about. So that would be just my main advice, to try different things, and yeah, and eventually will come their purpose.
Thank you for these words, Gerardo. Do you want David to add something related to this?
No, I think I completely agree. I completely agree with everything that was said there. I don't have anything else to add to this. I agree with the money part. I think it's something that sometimes we don't in this industry is something that might be underlooked at, and it's still an important factor if we want to move forward. So, like Gerardo said, it will come, and I think it's starting to come now. We can see in some industries it's coming, and there's a lot of investments that are coming now in these industries, and like banks have new standards that they need to follow, so they have to invest in companies getting things developed in this industry. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your words. Our time is running out. I don't know, Anita, if you want to say the final getaway to all our participants and for this event.
Yes, Sylvia, thank you. What are my concluding final words? I would say that all of us within the P2GreeN consortium, but everyone in the bioeconomy sector has a duty, and the duty is to try everything that we can to remain and to support a planet that is healthy for us and also for the next generation. And I think that is the purpose worthwhile to work on. And we should be bold, and we should be courageous, and we should be patient, because system transformation is a large scope, and there are many barriers and challenges, and we must not get distracted, and we must not lose courage to constantly challenge these system boundaries. And I think that is what I would conclude with.
Thank you with these words, Anita, and thank you to all of you to participate today. It was super exciting to have this new vision in the bioeconomy sector. I also want to advise you, all of you, to follow us on our social networks and on our website, where we post our developments in the project. And there are a few other ways to keep in touch with us, because on our socials, on our website, but also during the main event of the Bioeconomy Changemaker Festival. We are going to be in one of the stands, so you can meet there P2GreeN project, and also Nicola Parfit from Sanitation 360, our young entrepreneur and young researcher. She will be part of the plenary session on Wednesday. So thank you very much for coming today. Thank you very much for your active participation, and I hope that you enjoy this event.